Architectural shaping introduces an entirely new way to look at production housing. It increases the livability, curb appeal, marketability, and function of the home without too many changes from a conventional housing design. It benefits mostly the narrow, deep homes and will concentrate on actual homes before and after using a 35-foot wide product on a 45-foot wide lot. To be perfectly clear, architectural shaping does not work unless you use coving because we need the extra space of reduced street length. The reduced street length is reduced right away. It frees up land area to do the shaping in the first place. So we look at a shaped plat. All we see is the lot lines and the setbacks to create the coving. But when we look at it differently, we look at the improvements, and then we look at the interior walls, and then we look at the living space and how it relates to the space around it, the panoramic views around the corners of the home, the view sheds around the front, the window locations where the kitchen is. It creates a different environment than having all the homes in a row cookie cutter, and then the only views you have is a little bit out the front and a little bit out the rear. So when we look at everything together, we see how this all works together. The architecture, the planning merge to create a better product without losing any density. Just like curb appeal sells a house, what we're looking at is the view from an arterial street. That's our front door. When we cove, we pick up a lot of land area that we can use for other purposes, generally to create the shaping and the more openness along the home. However, where you really need the impact is along the arterial streets. We could showcase home fronts and space. So this is how we're showcasing from the street to draw people in. But then we're also looking at how the home relates from the inside of the house. How does that interior function? Now, these are the same homes modified from what you just saw on the grid. So we modified existing homes. Look at the views around the homes. Keep in mind, these are the same homes you just saw in that grid. This is the trail that goes through the entire site and binds the neighborhood together. But what the extra width of either the front or the rear does is allow us to increase the livable space. When you increase the livable space, you increase the views from within the home to the outside. We increase the curb appeal. We typically put a window along the corner where the view expands. And this is taking the same floor plan. In this case, the living space is about 6-7 foot wider than the conventional home. We also reoriented the back bedroom so that we gain about 10 feet of rear yard space. So instead of having homes 40 foot back to back, we're now in the 50-60 foot range for a more usable backyard. And you can see from the street, you've got a house that looks like a house. It's still a 35-foot wide product. And this is why areas and developments like Trisona sell so well. So it's this how the space functions. You hang out in the kitchen. These were very well planned homes to begin with. We just made them better. So we took the existing floor plans, modified them for shaping. So we still have the existing bedroom layouts. This is a dining area that was in the front of the home with just one window. Look at the difference in the space and how it feels. On the homes that fan out or are wider at the rear, what we're trying to do here is set that living space back a little bit. These homes are already back, so we can add a full front porch because you really aren't gaining that much in curb appeal. We're gaining more in function at the back of the home, widening up that living space, widening up the views, getting those corner windows so you don't look at the neighbor, you look at the space. And then even from the front, you can see we added some windows. The space just comes alive. And again, we reoriented some of the bedrooms at the rear, so we gain about somewhere between 5 and 12 feet of rear yard space, which is very important on these tight developments. Just look at the difference between the cookie cutter 35-foot wide, 40-foot wide product that everybody is building all around the nation in the excuse to jam more units together, density, density, density. But if we can reduce the right of way, the street length, by 20 to 30% and gain all this land, we're reducing the cost there. Now, this example's in Fredericksburg, Texas, where it demands a different architecture. Demands a local, like modern farmhouse type architecture. But what paid for all of that? Well, instead of putting it underground or on the ground, let's put it in the home. Architecturally shaped home typically would have less interior wall space, less hallway space, more functional rooms, larger rooms. And so that means in some areas less construction costs. So we're taking and we're transferring costs to where it counts the most. The house itself, the function, the landscaping, things that people go, wow, I need that house. I need to pay for that house. I need to find out how to get into that house. This is what architectural shaping does, especially at the higher densities that we're seeing today and eliminating the cookie cutter growth that's plaguing our nation. As a further explanation, we take the floor plans and we surface them. We get all the surfaces with Land Mentor. And then what we do is, in this case, we use a 13-degree minimum angle and we created a house pad and then took and analyzed the different areas to see how we're doing with wall construction, room function, and things like that. Now, I didn't spend a lot of time on this because it's preliminary, but you can see the difference between the different homes and then once they're shaped and take a look at the numbers as far as the construction and numbers, the views, the livability. This is how it works. As we work with the architecture, we see how we can revise existing architecture instead of having to go back to the drawing board, because obviously there's an investment in that architecture. And this is how we create an architecturally shaped neighborhood and add all of that value for our clients.